And Doug's hanging out the Dairy Queen, as always, up in St. George, Utah. But, this week he did a stellar job on the huntingfishing.com newsletter. A lot of good stuff in there. Doug, what's going on? What's happening? How are you?
Well, I'm good. Good. Thank you. We're going to start off. Our featured story this week is in regarding to a race for rare earth metals. The reason I highlight this for two reasons. Number one, it is a conservation issue, and you're talking about a multitude of mines being either developed or new or in the works. We're talking about a lot of rare earth materials that are destroying our landscape. Number two, if you do go to our newsletter, or you can go to our website and check out this article, you'll get a pretty good idea of what we're talking about here. This is a function of the new Green Deal. I can't emphasize that more. This is all about getting electric cars on the road, and according to our illustrious leader, Brandon, this is going to happen by 2035.
No,
right?
no, it's not.
Well, take a look. This article that I put in our website highlights these mines that you see on the screen right now, and there's a bunch of them. And some are new, a lot of them are old. And of note is Carson City, which is the recycling dump for batteries. I didn't know that, but there it is. Don, we're in big deep doo-doo with this whole process. You know that.
Well, you said
enough.
this was a function of the new Green Deal. It's a failure of the new Green Deal.
Oh, yeah.
The whole thing's a rouge. It's a joke. So, personally, I don't see this happening. Just as a side note, there are regulations involved with the mining industry that have been put in place for years. The mines have to resurface the landscape and put it back to as close as possible as they found it. That said, here in Arizona, we've got some huge open pit mines. They're not going to go back and put the dirt back in the hole and fill it back up. They're not going to do that. It'll be terraced. It'll be landscaped, so that it's not such an eyesore and a detriment to the environment. So, yeah.
Got it. You bet. And of note, the Inflation Reduction Act was given new buyers of electric vehicles a $7,500 credit towards that vehicle. But now that's changed because it will only apply to cars with domestically mined battery materials. Hence the big push,
Yeah.
So there you go. Hey, let's talk about what's going on around in the country itself. Of special note, Iowa's pheasant season is expected to be a repeat of 2021. And well, as we know, South Dakota, Iowa is a big deal. Pheasants are a big deal. In Montana, fire restrictions were lifted in Yellowstone, Bighorn, Treasure, and Muscle counties. In Texas, and this is probably something I've never heard of, the department is encouraging anglers to report what's called blotchy bass syndrome. I've never heard of that.
Okay, wait. I've been doing this for a long time. What?
Yeah, I don't know, Don. I don't know what that is. And even if you go out to the article itself, there's no indication. I don't have a picture. I couldn't find one, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess if you live in Texas, you know what this is, but I don't.
That sounds like a CNN news report,
Yeah. In Utah, and this really applies to any state, hunters are encouraged to save those tracking collars. If you happen to shoot anything that has a collar on it, please take it off and return it to your Game and Fish department. Really important. They collect data off these things. So
Well, I
And
always thought
as
it would be kind of cool if I got one to hang it on the back of a UPS truck.
you know,
I'm just saying.
yeah, all right. Um, in fishing, back in Ohio on the Rocky River, Game and Fish was doing some electric shock to find out what's running in the river. But guess what they found? A pink salmon with Alaskan roots. I don't know how it got there. They're still working on it. Haven't figured it out, but there it is. Good sized fish too. Some fishing stuff that's going on, little tidbits. Under the hunting category, we've got a lady, J.D. Houston, knocked down an incredibly velvet muley. This green score, net score on this was roughly 205.
Yeah, wow.
So it's a beautiful deer. Jeez. Let's see. Good article on testing lead and copper bullets in ballistic gel. I watched the videos on this thing. It's quite lengthy, but very informative. So if you get a chance, click on that, take a look at those videos. One of the big things in the newsletter this week is off the East Coast, they are trying to adopt slow speed zones off the shore of the East Coast up to 20 nautical miles where you can't go over 10 knots.
What?
Now, this applies, I know.
What?
This
Wait,
applies,
who comes up with this crap?
Yeah. Well, isn't that interesting? I mean, it's amazing to me. I don't really know where this came from, to be honest with you. I tried to do some research on this. Never mind, I just saw it. National Marine Fisheries proposed this North Atlantic right whale vessel strike reduction rule. Sorry, I did have it.
Jeez.
But most of them are going, what the hell? I mean, 10 knots for the first 20 miles?
No.
Right. And these are for boats that are 35 foot and up.
That,
what they're really wondering.
That's not going to be too far off. 10-meter boat. Those guys aren't going to be hot. Those aren't hot rod boats to begin with.
No. And they don't draft a whole lot either.
No,
so
they don't.
You're really not. We're really wondering here just exactly what their emphasis and why they're trying to do this. Because most boats that go out there are under 35 feet don't draft a great deal. The Boston Whaler, for example, a 42-foot Boston Whaler draws about 32 inches.
Yeah.
So it gives you an idea. You got to have a pretty good-sized boat to start drawing a lot of water. At any rate, interesting. I don't know where they come up with this stuff. But let's move on. In New York, a man was busted with Burmese pythons in his pants at the Canadian border. How he did that, we don't know. All we know is they caught him with these 3 snakes in his trout. Potentially, he was arraigned. He hasn't got a court. He's got a court date, but he hasn't been in court for this. But the charge for this could be a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and a fine of up to $250,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big hit.
Yeah, he sounds like
wow.
that's not a bad thing, but it also sounds like he needs a psychological evaluation. And
yeah. Oh yeah.
I can't think who deserves these snakes more than Justin Trudeau. Nice.
Why take him out of Canada? Hell. There's a piece of legislation up in Salem, Oregon. It's called Ballot Measure 114. It'll be on the November ballot. It's an attempt to reform and alert responsible gun owners without addressing mental health services, gang violence, public safety, or any other areas that are proven to have close ties to gun violence. Now, the whole part of this, there are 4 points they make with this thing. as it might affect legal outdoor hunting. It actually bans hunting firearms like shotguns with barrels over 21 inches. It messes with conservation funding, restricting firearm sales and creating an impossible permitting system that will decrease critical funding for the ODFW.
You know that's a big bunch of BS because
Yes,
this is just all left wing crap coming out of Oregon again. Because you take your average
Yeah, it
shotgun, the
is.
barrel's 28 inches.
I know. More red tape, more problems trying to get weapons, blah, blah, blah. Other than there's a graphic in there now, go ahead, call the ADAD, go to ADA, azdeer.org, and sign up for some of their raffles. They give away
there
a
you
lot
go.
of cool stuff for $20. That's it, Don.
That is a great newsletter. I'm going to have to go look up the blotchy bass issue.
Yeah. Couldn't find anything.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that starts in Florida. We have, LBV, the largemouth bass virus, pretty prominent. Was pretty prominent in Texas, and now this. So, all right, good job, guys. Sign up for the newsletter. Doug does a great job, and that's huntingfishing.com. Up